IPMNation.com.
All Natural Being. Warning, All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy is designed to shake your sense of self to the core.
It's full contact psychology with an empowering twist, a philosophical loofah for your soul.
For those of you not ready or comfortable releasing your inner superhuman, listener discretion is advised.
Here's your host,
Brian Brawdy.
Welcome, All Natural Being. The announcer says, I'm Brian, fired up to be spending the hour with you today. Whether you're listening to me live, and I hope that they've worked out all the kinks back at the home office, they've worked out all the kinks of yesterday. It's good to know after all these times of messing up, it wasn't my fault. At least that part's good. So I hope that we've ironed out all the kinks of yesterday in terms of the broadcast signal. So if it sounds like it's cutting in and out, or you just want to give me some ideas of some things we could kick around today, 331-684-7685, 331-684-SOUL. You can go ahead and send me a note. Welcome to All Natural Being, still the number one show on IPM Nation. And as you know, I think it's number one because it's a show about you. Not the watered-down version of you that, we kind of fall back on from time to time. Well, you know what? It's not an easy gig being a superhuman. Not an easy gig being a metahuman. Not an easy gig channeling your all-natural being. You got to pay attention. You got to stay focused. You got to be on the, right on the cusp, ready to do it whenever you want. So that's why I say you really are a rare breed if you listen to this show. You're an elitist. I'm all over it. Oh, don't forget, for 20 minutes a day, a narcissistic hedonist. Doesn't that feel good? Oh, so tell me a little bit about yourself. Well, I'm an elitist, narcissistic hedonist. How great would that be? That's your line. Maybe that's the T-shirt we have done. I come up with all these ideas all the time about what T-shirts we should have. Maybe it should be, I'm an elitist, narcissistic hedonist. At least 20 minutes a day. How cool would that be as a T-shirt? Imagine the looks you would get if you were wearing one of those around. All joking aside, it really is an honor to be able to spend some time with the kindred, the people that want to bring their A game out into the light of day. So it truly is an honor to get to spend some time with you, whether you're listening to me live right now, or we're hanging out during the broadcast, the rebroadcast at 5 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Eastern time, or again the following day at 7 a.m. It really is an honor to be able to hang out with you, because I dig radical people that have an irreverence for the status quo, that have an irreverence for common sense. Common sense, it's common, right? Would you like to go to a common it's a very common movie, very common restaurant? No, who wants common sense? And while we're on that, I promised I wouldn't mention the R word again, and I'm not going to, but yesterday the university, the big R, that's decided that they want everyone being thin-skinned. Oh, we don't want to say anything offensive. I suppose the University of Chicago goes, look, you better bring your big boy or big girl pants if you're coming to this school, because we're going to let it fly, is what it is. We're not going to, censor. And that's what I want to focus on today, but censorship in a slightly different way we'll focus on the show. But before we get into that, I just wanted to make mention of something I heard the other day. It was yesterday afternoon, and I forgot where I was, or I forget where I was, but someone says, oh, don't worry, your best days are ahead of you. And I think that's an absolute crock of crap, because I think your best days are within you. They're in you. Everyone's looking down the road for something else going on. Your best days are not ahead of you. They're in you. That's just something to think about. And I thought maybe today, as we get through the show, we could kind of kick that around a little bit. Where your best days are within you. All right, let's go ahead and jump over to our anaerobic aphorisms. And here's the deal. As I tell you all the time, please reach out on allnaturalbeing.com and give me an idea of what you're thinking. You send me an email, I'll trade you one of mine. And we'll be able to connect that way. Or, of course, 331-684-7685, 331-684-SOUL. Send me a text. Let me know what you're up to. And we'll kind of kick it around in the middle of the show. One of those things happened. All right, and I don't want to mention the person's name, although it's over on Facebook, and if anyone wants to kick that around. Put up, quote, for our anaerobic aphorism, quote, ever have one of those days where you beat yourself up? Ever wonder where you get off talking to yourself like that? That was the anaerobic aphorism that we put up. So then yesterday I got a really... look, I'm not making fun of, but it made me smile. It made me think of my own situation. It made me think of how this gets started. And a friend over on Facebook said, thankfully, I don't have that negative recording in my head. Maybe because my mom passed away when I was 15. So, my best to your family. Sorry that you lost your mom when you were early. And it made me think, we learn talking to ourselves that way. It's something we adopt. It's something that's added on. So we learn how to beat ourselves up. Which, after I saw that, I thought, you know what? I want to come clean. I want to tell the truth. No more, not being 100% clear. And why I don't like self-help industry tactics. Not huge fans of the self-help industry tacticians that spread this kind of stuff. All you got to do is go online anywhere, and you hear people say, "Oh, well, all you have to do is do away with the negative self-talk." Just, and then you go and there's, what is there now, like Pinterest and all these other places, all these quote boards. Oh, be careful of negative self-talk because you're the one listening. Crafty. There's got to be a Pulitzer in it for some of these people. Just crafty stuff. I don't want to do away with negative self-talk. And that's why I put up the other post. Look, it's got to be clear to you. I have trust issues. I seldom believe 97.5, 98, 99% of the thoughts that come to me. I don't believe everything that pops into my head. But if it weren't for my negative self-talk, who would I prove wrong? So once again, everyone wants higher consciousness. Oh, I'd like my mind to be still. Oh, please. Right? I love my mind riddled with negative self-talk, because how do I know what to push off against? If I did, just me, you're welcome to try this, as I say all the time, 20 minutes at a time, 20-minute victory. Yes? 20 minutes, 1/72nd of your day, testing the self out. I don't want rid of my negative self-talk. I love it when I have some strange thought about what I can't pull off, and I go, oh yeah, really? All right, needle nits, go sit in the corner. But if you listen to the people, we want our mind to be still. I don't want my mind to be still. I don't know about yours. That's what I brought my mind for. That's what it's here with me for. That's what I pay it to do. I pay it to work for me. I pay it to come up with all kinds of crazy stuff. If I ran with all the stuff that popped into my mind, who knows where I'd be? So I don't listen. But that doesn't mean I don't want it. Keep this negative self-talk coming. Just don't give it 100% of your focus. Have you ever heard that old thing, if I tell you, don't think about pink polar bears? Countless studies. It's almost embarrassing to have to go through this for the next minute or so, because I'm sure you've heard about it. But on the off chance that you haven't, the whole thing, don't think about pink polar bears. Well, what do you got to do not to think about XYZ, whatever it is, put it in. Purple unicorns. Ooh, the special sauce on Big Macs. Don't do it. Don't think about it. And then when we tell ourselves, well, let's not do this, and then our mind goes, will you please make me up? Or you tell me not to think about it, so then I got to focus on it to make sure that that's not where I'm drifting off to. It's the same thing with negative self-talk. Oh, wow. Do away with what? Oh, with negative self-talk. Oh, that is your self-help tip for the day? Oh, don't forget you're listening, so do away with negative self-talk. That's the key. That's it. Oh, why, thank you. I cannot tell you enough that is a piece of tumbleweed you blew into my life. Thanks for that advice. That's crazy talk. Because the moment we say, oh, let's not focus on negative self-talk, what do we got to focus on to make sure that we don't focus on it? We got to focus on negative self-talk. I love my negative self-talk. Because when it hits, I do the 20-second victory, breathe in, exhale, scan my situation, and then what do I say? How do I talk to myself after that? I go, okay, needle nits, go sit in the corner. See you later. Ta-ta. Move along. Go play. Do something else. Go play Jenga or something over in the corner. Right? People say, oh, you're going to get rid of negative self-talk. Who would want to do that? It's like saying, oh, you might want to get rid of your teeth. It's easier to gum your food. You never have to brush them again. Yes, I say, let's get rid of our teeth. Right? Oh, you got to get rid of them. Well, look, we don't have to. I think we'd still gargle, but we wouldn't have to floss. We wouldn't have to brush our teeth. We just yanked them out with pliers, a rope, and a doorknob on the door that we're slamming closed. Well, sure, let's get rid of our teeth. Get rid of negative self-talk. How do these people come up with these things? Clearly, they don't test them out in their own lives. 331-684-7685, 331-684-SOUL. We're getting another text in here. Negative self-talk gives me the opportunity to be grateful. I learn from it. Thank you very much. I absolutely agree. We either learn for it or we use it to push off. Right? Negative self-talk, we just shoulder chuck it. The nice thing is, when it gets chucked into the corner, the other part of the energy is pushing us in the direction we want to go. Still your mind. Oh, please. Still your negative self-talk. I'm a huge fan of it. Not 100% of it, 100% of the time, but I love that it challenges me. I love that it says, you know what? You're a dope. You can't pull that off. Well, if I didn't have that, I'd have no one to go, all right, stick around, you'll see. I love this. I got it on Facebook. A friend of mine says, I told you to stop hanging out in the bad neighborhoods of your mind. True, hanging out for an extended period of time, but every so often I love the negative self-talk. Let me have it. It's just like getting a text or an email. Thank you very much for that. 331-684-7685, 331-684-SOUL. I've said before, I'm going to try my best not to laugh, but I really did have someone spell it S-O-L-E. And it was someone very dear to me, so I don't want you to think I'm making fun of someone, but S-O-L-E. It's probably a good time to mention I'm not a podiatrist, which would have been great if I were, but I'm not, or a medical doctor, or a licensed clinical anything, or a life coach, right? I'm none of those things. I'm too busy trying to figure out how to be on the cusp of my own greatness to be able to coach anyone else. But I'll tell you what I do like being: a tag team partner. I'm the guy with the baton, right in the head, waiting to hand it to you. If you'll forgive the police patrolman metaphor again, I'm like your partner. I'm like, you're driving, I'm the one riding shotgun, getting ready to jump out, mix it up whenever we find a bad guy or a bad girl. Don't want to be sexist, but I don't want to mansplain either. Bad guy or a bad girl, I'm your co-partner, your co-team member. I love that. I also love simply to be the one that suggests that you should lose some of the bubble wrap. Unless, of course, you want to go to that university that begins with the letter R, and because I promised I wouldn't say that name again, you have to listen to yesterday's show if you're really concerned. Oh, you know what? I said I wouldn't say it, but I didn't say I wouldn't put it up on Facebook. Maybe I could do that, or I could tweet it. Who wants that kind of thin skin? All of our unhappiness. People say, oh, get rid of the negative self-talk. You'll be happy. All of our happiness comes because of thin skin. All of our sense of unfulfillment, being unloved. Oh, what could I possibly do? What would people say if I ran around and did this and that? Thin skin. So if you and I decide no more thin skin, I'm not going to waste my energy beating up on negative self-talk. I would like to still my mind. Sat in a cave, mountains in China, never stilled my mind. Never. Ever. Never once. Never stilled my mind. All this years of meditation, all this years of mindfulness, what I call inner orienteering, never stilled my mind. Not once. So let's not fall for it. Let your negative self-talk come. Just question it. Just grill it and go, oh, so you ever have this feeling? And I have to tell you, it must be for me. I don't. 331-684-7685, 331-684-SOUL. You got to text me. We'll be set up to take calls next week. Thank you for calling in. 331-684-7685. Send me a text. So here's what I found. And I'm totally off track now. Derailed train. The phone rang. What were we talking about? Let's just do this. All those years, all the meditation. Why I call it inner orienteering? Because I want those thoughts popping up. I want my mind to be all natural. And a part of that is embracing both the virtues and the vices of your mind. And for me, people say, what about the negative self-talk? I have to tell you, for me, and if you're like this, hopefully you'll go, oh man, that feels a lot better. Now I know I'm as crazy as Brian is. Welcome. Nice to have you here. But it's not so much talk. It's not so much I hear it. It's more a feeling for me. It's a little more kinesthetic. Like I don't hear myself going, Brian, you're such a dope. I don't. I kind of feel, that little feeling pops up going, you know what I do? I find myself laughing at myself a lot. So then all I do is go, all right, why are you laughing? And then if it's a valid reason, like, yes, don't think I'd bungee off the 4th story without making sure your bungee cord is attached. Whatever it's going to be, right? Whatever it's going to be. I find myself laughing at myself. So if you're like me and you go, I don't know what everyone's talking about, all this negative self-talk, I never hear myself saying, it's more of a feeling. And then maybe a little bit of a vision. So I don't so much hear someone rambling on. Although, I have to tell you, a lot of us, if you're like me, and look, if you come from a family where you didn't have a troubling childhood, God love you. God love you. But for me, alcoholic, physically abusive, emotionally abusive, alcoholic father, then we learn early on, like my friend over at Facebook that said, hey, you know what I mean? I've forgotten all the negative self-talk. We learn it very early on from the people around us. So all I'm suggesting, again, we channel our inner Yoda. We must unlearn that which we have learned. So if we get to the point where we're really beating up on ourselves, all I say is go, all right, time out. I get it. Let me see. You don't think I'm happy. You don't think I'll be successful. You don't think I'll do this. I get it. 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 You lazy slug. Go sit in the corner. And then watch the show. I'll go ahead and be proving you wrong. So for me, that's the way the mind is supposed to work. A lot of vices, a little bit of virtue. So when it comes time to beat ourselves up, I go, well, let's not just throw the baby out with the bathwater. Let's just go ahead and go, okay, great. That's one opinion. I'll use that as a push-off. You think of a bow and arrow. Before you can send the arrow in the direction you want it to go, you always got to pull the bow back. Well, that's what negative self-talk is. It's pulling yourself back. But you decide if you're going to use it to launch yourself forward. And for me, that's the 2.5% of the times. Because some of the stuff that pops in my mind, if you're like me, you go, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Bro. Know exactly what you're talking about. So I would suggest ignore all the self-help industry tacticians telling you, just do away with the negative talk. No neggy talky. And go, hey, I love my negative self-talk. There's no way I'd get rid of it. I send it to timeout every so often because I love to hear what it thinks I can't do. But then I go, hey, just another thing I can prove you wrong about. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Oh, and I noticed we're not resetting, so they must have cleared out everything at the home office. Everything must be working well over at Radio Jar. It's kind of a cool name, Radio Jar. All right, we'll be right back.
IPMNation.com.
IPMNation.com. Welcome back. All right, here's something else I want to talk about. I had a call from a friend of mine this morning that was following up really on an email that I got yesterday about survival. Why do I dig so much time? Why do I enjoy being out in the middle of nowhere? What does that do for me? And that philosophically, Einstein on his bicycle, Buddha sitting under a tree, Jesus in the wilderness or the garden, Jacob in his pillow of stones, Muhammad in a cave, Lao Tzu, the wilderness, Western China, Arjuna from the Hindu faith on an open grassy plain. I think the greatest moments, the guy with the apple that fell, Newton, Gravity, how could I forget that name? What do they make it perfectly clear in that story, that myth, that meme, if you like, that he left the city. He did. I think the plague was going on. He left the city, and he went to his grandmother's farm out in the middle of the wilderness, sitting under a tree, watches a piece of fruit fall. Greatest moments in humanity have come not when we're enveloped in the middle of humanity, is my take, but out alone in the middle of nature. And really, that's all meditation is. Meditation is a way to escape to the wild parts of your mind. Sitting on a bus, sitting in the back of a cab, sitting at home with the kids running around like banshees. I think I'm allowed to say banshees. Running around like banshees. That's always been the cool part for me, is being out in the middle of nowhere, whether I'm doing it physically or psychologically in my own mind. That's when the great times come. That's when the great thoughts come. And then here was the question that challenged me for just a second. They said, well, don't you have to learn how to be a wilderness survival expert? Don't you have to learn how to be a meditation expert? If you're going to the wilds, either in the backcountry or in the backwaters of your own mind, don't you have to be an expert at this stuff? And there are a few little things, right? You learn about shelter, you learn about how to get water, you learn about some of those things. Yes, but other than that, it really is just your all-natural being, because an environment is only as extreme as we represent it to ourselves. Now, don't think you'd survive very long on the surface of the sun. Don't think you'd survive very long in the shadows of the moon. There are some conditions that it's just like nature's got you. But as I said yesterday or the day before, people say, oh, don't worry. Go out in the wilderness. Nature's got your back. Not unless she's holding your back with one hand and trying to put a knife in it with the other. But that's no reason to be all melancholy, all glum, all disappointed. That's what I love about nature. That's what I love about my negative self-talk. Let's go. Welcome to the jungle. I'm the one you decided to pick on today. Bring it. Our environments only affect us when we let them, when we don't channel our all-natural being. But as brutal as it can be out in the middle of nowhere, I've been in some pretty cold temperatures, been in some pretty hot temperatures, pretty extended periods of time. We were talking this morning, a friend of mine was chased by a moose. You ever been chased by a moose? That'll rearrange your priorities in a heartbeat. Male moose doesn't like the fact that you're out bobbing around in its neck of the woods. Oh yeah, that'll get your attention. People talk all the time, oh, how about the being tracked by the mountain lion? Nothing like the moose. Nothing. Close second, bison. Yeah, they're not the friendly, cuddly creatures that most of us think. The point I'm trying to make, there's certain things. Here's a nature exploration tip. Probably not a good idea to kneel on the shoreline and try to get a selfie with yourself and a pair of alligator eyes that are coming up out of the water. For those of you that are over on my Facebook page, over my friend page, that's a picture that I took. That was as close as I wanted to get. I was on the edge of the water, lie down real quick. Believe me, that picture on my Facebook page, as soon as those eyes dropped, I was out of there and was just thankful he wasn't working with a tag team partner. Oh, yeah,
Let me just stare at him, and then while I'm staring at him, you swim up under the water and grab him.
all I'm suggesting is the environment that you're in is dictated by your belief in yourself, dictated by your all-natural being. So if you think, well, what would it take to walk across Death Valley? What would it take to survive out in the cold? What would it take to do this or do that? Bottom line, belief in yourself. It's always a belief in yourself. Because when you believe in yourself, when you let your life and your abilities and your natural resources, your superhuman status, when you let that go to your head, you're cooking with Crisco, so to speak. So that's what I love about being in the wilderness. And people say, okay, great. Well, what can I do to survive out in the middle of nowhere? Believe in yourself. Understand who you ultimately are and everything that you're capable of. Then the environment's like, is it always smooth? No. Just like life. Same thing in meditation. Remember who you are, your connection to your all-natural being. Good for your mind, good for your body, good for your spirit, good for all of you. Package deal when you're doing inner orienteering. I think maybe next week we'll start going a little more detail as to exactly what inner orienteering is. But for now, note that your environment only grabs you if you let it. And you think of some of the greatest survival stories. The people that packed it in, tapped out on they surrendered. But there are some great stories of people that just refused to turn their back on themselves. They channeled their all-natural being. They knew exactly what they were doing. And I will tell you, we'll kick it around today. I posted some pictures about Hurricane Katrina 11 years ago. Seeing what happens to people. And the difference between those people, when all hell breaks loose, they decide to let themselves break loose. That was one heck of a wall of water that came through. I threw some pictures up over on Facebook if you're interested. Heck of a wall of water that came through. But I met people that just said, that's all you brought. I mean, those are my words, but you get where I'm going with this. They didn't let their environment derail them. They didn't let their environment, even if it's meditation we're talking about now, inner orienteering, you don't let the distractions get to them. They're like, nope, here's my all-natural being. Here's what I'm capable of. Here's what I'm going to do right now. But I never second-guess myself. And even when the negative self-talk pops up, you're like, oh, okay, great. Sit back. Watch me do this. Not going to derail me. And the cool thing about it is, do you know what I learned? I'm nothing at all. Ask my closest friends. I'm nothing special at all. When it came to time in the wilderness, whether it's in the back country or the backwaters of my mind, the nooks and crannies, the crevasses, when it came to that, I had no clue what I was doing. So I went out in the middle of nowhere and I go, oh, you know what? It would have been nice to have thought of this in advance. So the next time I went out, I had thought of that in advance and I did something else. So we learn 20-second victory at a time. We learn to say, okay, great. Here's where I am. Here's what I'm surrounded by. And here's what I'm going to do to channel my all-natural being to make absolutely sure that I'm going to pull this off. And that's the beauty of who you are. That's why I say all the time, I'm on your side even when you're not. That my something to believe in is you. Because your all-natural being at your core makes you that superhuman, makes you that metahuman. Think of the last time that your environment encroached on you. What did you do to survive? When was the last time your negative self-talk encroached on you? What did you do to survive? Because it truly is the same thing. When you believe in yourself, your all-natural being, you're untouchable. For the most part. There are just those situations that there's nothing we can do about it. But 99% of the time, we can play a very active role in confronting what befalls us. We square our shoulders and go, come on, bring it. Here we are. This is what we're going to do right now. So don't beat yourself up about the negative self-talk. Don't beat yourself up about, oh, I haven't been meditating long enough. You hear these people,
Well, you have to meditate for 10,000 hours. Oh, yes, I've been doing it now for years. I'm just the cat's took us when it comes to meditating.
do it right now. Take a deep breath. Remember who you ultimately are. Now you're as good at meditating as I am. We'll be right back.
You're listening to All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy. How much longer will you let them hijack your head and your heart?
How much longer are you going to let them hijack your head and your heart? Great question. Kick it around every show because we want to know, what specifically is it about your environment that's scaring the crap out of you today? Let's make a list. What are those things that we think insurmountable? No way we're going to beat it, no matter what our negative self-talk says, right? Ignoring it long enough. What are some of those things that we could do? How can we prove it wrong today? Maybe now is the time to break out your journal, your logbook, your evidence blotter. And I know, just talking about it, you and I kicking it around, there will be a situation that pops up. Or you can go, oh, that would be a chance for me right now to channel my all-natural being. Not to cower in the corner, but something that I think I'd like to reach out and see what's going on. What are some of those things? Let's get out a pen and a piece of paper. We can write them down. What are those things that are holding you down and back? What are they? Relationships? Things on your bucket list? Things on your to-do list? Just the whole concept of the uncertainty and randomness of future itself? What would you write down? Because I promise you, at the end of the day, when it comes time to go over the top 10 things that you're most happy about, that you're most excited about, this will absolutely be one of them. Because you'll be in a position to go, wait a minute, I absolutely did rise to the challenge. I absolutely did rise to the occasion. And you'll be very proud of yourself because you did. As we said earlier, remember, our best days aren't ahead of us, they're within us. And I wanted to mention this because this is something, I think this is, to me, this is important. This was the beginning of me going, look, I'm going to go after the self-help industry and their tactics. Higher consciousness cartel, the big business of the motivation industrial complex. Everyone,
I'm the #1 motivational speaker in the world.
motivation is for those that have lost the memory of who they are. Inspiration moves you forward. Motivation is something outside of you that's supposed to call you. But inspiration impels you. It moves you from within. And you, my friend, are the best, not to mention the only, ultimately, but you are one of the best inspirational speakers when it comes to your own life. Because if you buy into your negative self-talk, you're inspirational. You're inspiring yourself to listen to it. It's not like negative self-talk has anything over us. What do they say? The first thing, if you're stuck out in the middle of the wilderness, people go, oh, well, how will I find food? I wouldn't worry. How will I find water? It's a little higher up on our priority list. Most important thing is to find shelter. Get your body out of the wind, the rain, the direct sunlight, whatever it is. Most important thing in terms of a survival situation, wherever you are, is to make sure that you find some shelter, a block from your environment. Number one. Everything else you can figure out after that, assuming you're not wounded in some way. You got a broken leg, sometimes you got to work on that before you can work on your environment. But it's the same for you and I. When we build that healthy bit of shelter, when we have that little island, that temporal terrain that we talk about, our ego shield, where our mind goes all bat crap crazy with negative self-talk, we have a shelter from that. What's the shelter? 20-second victory. Breathe in, exhale, scan your situation, then take action. You don't need motivation for that. We're inspired by that. When you channel your all-natural being, your days of looking for motivation are over. Motivation is inauthentic. Inauthentic. And if I'm wrong, and you see these motivational speakers, why have they written 40 books? Why? I saw one the other day. 110 steps to something. Your inspiration will never take you 110 steps. 110 things you can do. Who wants to count to 110? How about, here's the number one thing you can do. No motivation, no baloney, no self-help industry tactics, no snake oil. Number one thing you can do is be inspired by who you already are. Let life go to your head. Channel your inner narcissist, your hedonist. What are we talking about the last couple of days? 20 minutes. For just 20 minutes, my goodness, wouldn't you want to be on vacation, kicking back, relaxing, doing whatever you want to do? That's a little different for me because when I go on vacation, I can't sit still. I think it's a part of my, what do they say, attention deficit disorder? Right? I think it's a part of my hyperactivity. Why they used to put a belt around me in the basement to kind of belt me to a pole so that the babysitters wouldn't have to wonder where I was going to run to. People wonder how I turned out crazy. So for me, it's a little different. Vacation for me, I'm climbing something, scaling something, more times falling down things, swimming, biking, hiking, and the like. And although I make fun of it, for me, that's when I get to prove the negative self-talk wrong. You'll never make this. You'll never make that. This is too hard, too far, too wide, too whatever. But I promise you, you don't want to go hike Death Valley? God love you. Don't want to go hike Alaska, Denali? Fantastic. I mean, no interest whatsoever in being in the Everglades where the mosquito bite rate is 400 a minute? God love you. But for 20 minutes a day, we can challenge ourselves to do something that we haven't done before. Fear, it's just amnesia. Concern, worry, apathy, just amnesia. Now, motivation feels good because, right, well, why do I call motivational speakers drug dealers? Because they're drug dealers. Drug dealers, that's right. I called your favorite motivational speaker a drug dealer because that's what they are. Get a hit, feel great, crash a few minutes, hours, days later, back jonesing for another hit. Motivation. But inspiration, that's you. You bring that forward. You go in and get it back out. No motivation there, no snake oil there. We talked before about the chemicals, the actual chemicals that course through your mind and your brain and your body. Be your own drug dealer. Because when you're inspired about who you ultimately are and what you're here to do, all the latest studies in evolution that say, hey, you know what? There really is something to this purpose behind life. And we hear, I've got a calling. My calling is to pay attention to what the moment's telling me right now. To pay attention to the fine-grained fingerprint of providence that's right there in the moment. That's what I love about the randomness of it all. I love it about the uncertainty of it all. And you must too, or you wouldn't be listening to this show. So the next time someone says, you want to do this motivational thing or that motivational thing, you can go, yeah, no, I'm good, thanks. I'm inspired by who I am at my core. That unique individual in all the time. So you don't have to be like me. You don't have to be like anyone else. You just got to be like yourself. No fashion. Fashion is plagiarism. Style. Now that's yours. And that's what's inspiring. When you see these people that they're going it their own way. That's inspiring. That's charisma. And that's what sits at the core of who you are. Plain and simple. So what could you do today for the next 20 minutes? We got 20 minutes left in the show. Imagine this time frame right now. What could you do to be challenged by the environment, to be challenged by your ecosystem, which is you? You are a part of that system, that matrix. Now it's popular to talk about the matrix.
Are we all in a big video game?
Who cares if we are? Who cares if we are? But your mind is a matrix involved in everything going on around it. All the circumstances, all the serendipities, all the synchronicities, the chance occurrences, the randomness of it all. So I talk about an ROR, a reverence for randomness, because that's where your happiness is going to be. That's where your fulfillment is right now, in this moment, running the labyrinth of life. You don't need motivation for that.
Oh, I'm the greatest motivational speaker in the world.
Who would listen to him? Why would you need that? When you return to the marrow of your mind, when you return to your core, in the great big game of tag that is human life. Remember when we were little, you'd play the game of tag? There was always a home base. For us, it was like a tree or a mailbox or a garbage can or whatever it was. You get back there, you're holding on to that, they can't tag you, they can't touch you. Well, your home base is your all-natural being. One big game of tag. So if you started out every day, or if you started out a 20-minute victory, knowing that you were back at your base, you were back at your all-natural being, what truly could derail you? Oh, well, this person said something snotty. So what? Oh, this person treated me poorly. And again, I'm never suggesting that this is a way for you to go, okay, people can do violence against me, physical, that's okay. I'm not saying that at all. In some situations, you absolutely have to defend yourself. But in other situations, we don't have to be a pincushion. We don't have to. We channel our all-natural being, and then whatever Mother Nature throws at us, we're in. We can do it. We can hang. Saw a really cool article the other day that talked about this concept of mindfulness. It says, is it really a modern day necessity? Well, perhaps mindfulness is more a necessity today than it's ever been because there's more distraction going on. But you and I aren't overcome by distraction. You and I surrender to distraction, whatever it is. So whether I take off to hike out in the middle of nowhere, or I take off within my own mind to think out in the middle of nowhere, it's simply my attempt to escape the distraction, to not be a co-conspirator in having my life derailed. So I think that's what causes all the stress. Imagine, well, let's just think of this for a second. Kettlebell. No, forget that. How about a thick book, an encyclopedia book? If you take that book, a bag of apples, whatever you want, and you hold it in your hand, out, extend your arm all the way out, let's say in front of you, and you hold that bag of apples. You're away from your core. You hold that bag of apples. Gets heavy pretty quick, doesn't it? Now, you bend the elbow, you pull that bag of apples, you put your hand up against your chest, and you hold that bag of apples there. What happens? Closer to your core. Not so stressful anymore, is it? You can hold it a little longer, can't you? So for you and me, if we remain aware of whether we're at our core or being distracted and pulled away from our core, being pulled away from our home base in this great big game of tag, we take a deep breath, exhale our name, scan the situation, then take action. When we do it connected to our core, no stress. The stress of living, trying to hold things up, the facade up, away from our core, outside, at the edge of who we believe ourselves to be. That's the distraction. But when we reconnect to our core, no stress. So what are some of the things that you could do today that reconnect you to your core? What are some of those things? Is it something you love? Something you sense? You have a gut sense, an intuitive sense? Oh, this is something that I should do. What is yours? What would you do? I remember somebody years ago said, what would you do if you knew you could not fail? Well, you're connected to your all-natural being. Fail or fail not, you're connected to your all-natural being. But when we become stressed, when we become burned out, when we become agitated, when we're anxiety-ridden, it's because we're away from our core. We're away from who we truly are. Here's what I can tell you from survival. Here's what I can tell you from being out in the middle of nowhere. Here's what I can tell you from the aftermath as we started the show talking about Hurricane Katrina, the 11th anniversary. I've been in the aftermath of, the immediate aftermath of tornadoes, of floods. That you are a good bit more resilient than you remember. You are a good bit more resilient than you recognize. If you think, oh, this person broke up with me, oh, this person divorced me, oh, this person was rude to me, oh, this person was X, Y, or Z to me. That's your non-resilient self talking. And what I'd like to debunk right now, if we in our closing minutes, what I'd like to debunk is everyone talking about the midlife crisis, quarter life crisis. You've just forgotten how resilient you are. Because when you remember your true resilience, what's a storm going to do to you? And you spend some time on Facebook, you spend some time on Twitter, you look at the things that people say, well, this person did this to me, or this person did that to me. You and I've got to be co-conspirators. We share a portion of the blame when we fall for this belief. It's something outside of ourselves is solely responsible for the way we feel. When we buy into that negative self-talk and we point the finger at someone else, well, she made me happy, or she made me sad, he made me unhappy, he makes me smile all the time, whatever it is, we have to, we're the co-conspirator, good or bad, we're the co-conspirator. We have to let that information in to be able to build a feeling about it. It's not like the feelings arrive. We talked before about an arrow, not like someone shoots you with an arrow. That'd be a little different. You could say then, oh yeah, that feeling arrived. Oh, it made its point. It got my attention. Like the moose chasing. But if not, you have to admit, no, I stood up. I painted a target right on my sternum, right on my breast, right on my chest plate and said, okay, let me have it. But if you're not doing that, it doesn't get in. So that's what I'd like to debunk. All these different things that we hear about what people have done to us. You and I have to admit, if it's done, it was done with us. Not done to us, done with us. And when we do that, we realize the only things that are influential in our life are the things we let in. That's a great way to kick around the day. We have to let it in order to be fluent in whatever that outside stimulus is. So think of a situation where you're bummed or you're down, or sometimes it's even easier to do when you're really super happy. You go, oh, this person makes me happy. No, this person puts you in a position for you to make yourself happy. This person puts you in a position for you to make yourself unhappy. But you're not some puppet at the end of a string. You're not some remote control game, a virtual reality game where someone else is working the buttons, unless we surrender those buttons.
Here you go. Here's a remote control. I'm good.
Now, if you're like me, you have people in your life that are absolutely thrilled. Oh, yeah, I'll take the remote. My turn. I'll work the remote control. We'll be right back.
You're listening to All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy. Because it's never too late to take your life back.
Never too late to take your life back. And that's what I think you and I should do as we prepare for the holiday weekend, at least here in the States. Thank you for everyone that listens from all over. But here in the States, we got a 3-day holiday coming up. What about your environment are you going to allow to derail you over these next 3 days? Because do you want to have the absolute best holiday weekend of your life? As I say, channel that inner hedonist. Now, I just got a text 331-684-7685, 331-684-SOUL. Surrender your hand to the heart of the warrior. Oh, that's pretty cool. What would you do this weekend? Thank you very much, by the way. 331-684-7685, 331-684-SOUL. What would you do this weekend? If you're like, you know what, I'm done being a pincushion. Let me put up a few speed bumps, a little temporal terrain. When someone gets our goat, it's a term I remember from later, right? Someone said, "Oh man, he just got me all worked up." You ever do? I've done it before. Look. Here's the reason I'm so fired up about this is I screw up all the time.
Oh, Brian, you couldn't. You're enlightened.
Oh, I'm enlightened, all right. Oh, Brian, you have a higher consciousness. Yeah, I'm high, all right. I'm in the garden of the mortals right alongside of you. I got no desire to surrender my virtues or my vices. And the people that say, "Oh, don't you want to be elevated? You're all the rest of this stuff." Whatever. I'm thrilled to still be here. And I promise you, Monday morning, you're welcome to text me, 331-684-7685, or send me a message anywhere you want, anywhere. allnaturalbeing.com. Send me one over to Brian Brawdy Official or over at Twitter, at Brian Brawdy. Been doing Twitter 10 years now. Finally broke 1,800 the other morning. I don't know. I haven't figured out the Twitter thing. I got to tell you. A few more people hanging out with me over on Facebook. I just haven't figured out the Twitter thing, but... Right, so reach out to me on Twitter if you like. I try to respond no matter what, but reach out and let me know that okay, so what's today? So today's Friday, depending upon the time zone you're listening in. Even if you don't have a holiday where you're living currently and listening, do me a favor. Do me one favor. One favor. Spend 20 minutes. What's today? Friday. Spend 20 minutes today, 1/72nd of your day, for your good friend Brian. And be a narcissistic, self-absorbed hedonist. And let your life, let who you are go straight to your head. And anyone that won't give you that 20 minutes, tell them to kiss your ass. All right, someone text me. I really am going to lose my clean rating over at iTunes, aren't I? Oh, great question, 331-684-7685. Monday's show, going to be live or taped? I say we do it live. Everyone's going to be on holiday, so who knows? But you know what I say? I say we do it live. That's my commitment. So, here's what we could do. We could hang out Monday and do stories. People could text in, right? And we'll talk about what happened over the weekend when we kept our promise to Brian. Brian said, "Hey, it's okay." And when gives you a hard time, go, take it up with Brian. Here's his text number. You don't want to tell them to kiss your ass? I'll tell them for you. But for 20 minutes today, tomorrow, and Sunday, just be thrilled with who you are. Be a hedonist. Be a narcissist. What are you doing? I'm taking some time to myself. That's what I would do. And then I promise you, Monday morning, you'll just text me and go, "Oh, you're not going to believe this. You should have seen the look on their face. You should have seen the look you should have seen the look in his eyes when I told him to get his own..." Whatever, all right? However you're gonna channel your inner narcissist for 20 minutes. I cannot wait for Monday now. And I never call myself out of the moment. But how cool to be on Monday? You can text me and go, "Oh, if you could have seen the look on their faces, could have heard a pin drop." But for today, I'm getting all worked up. I think I'm actually sweating. Okay, so for today, tomorrow, and Sunday, just give me 3 20-minute victories. Just 3. That's all I'm asking. And if you do that, I'll do a live show on Monday so that you can text me in and tell me exactly what went down. But today, Saturday and Sunday, 20 minutes. Be your own best friend. Be your own biggest fan. Channel that sense of your all-natural being. Reconnect. No one more influential in your life than you are. Right then. And I promise you, Monday, we're going to have a blast. 20 minutes, 1/72nd of your day. It's giving me goosebumps. I'm like thrilled for you. I can't even wait to hear the stories. It's a holiday. Be nice to yourself. No more motivation. Please. Inspiration. Reconnect with who you are at your core. And you go, you know what? Before I learned all this negative self-talk, before I learned all these things, before I learned, as I type in live, in case that person isn't listening right now, we're going to do Monday Live. That's my promise to you. Before we were wrapped in bubble wrap, before we were coddled, and before we said,
Oh, no, don't worry. Thin skin's all the rage. It's the fad. That's the fashion that you want. Paper thin skin. That's what you gotta have. That's the 21st century.
no, you and I are going to have thick skin because, believe me, if you haven't pulled off 20-minute victories before of being your own hedonistic narcissist that lets your life go straight to your head, you haven't pulled that off before? You're going to need some thick skin this weekend, but I promise you, just trust me, you're going to have an absolute blast. And then Monday we'll hang out live together, and you can give me some of the stories. That's what that'll be my present to myself. Monday, will you go, oh, you would, and I promise I won't mention anyone's names. You're welcome to text me, 331-684-7685. Text me throughout the weekend. If you got any, breaking ones going down, text me, let me know. I won't mention anyone's names, but we'll have a whole show on Monday, right? Where we channeled our inner narcissist, our inner hedonist, our inner all-natural being, superhuman status, metahuman status. We channeled who we really are at our core, the marrow of our minds, the sap of our soul. We channel from the root of our soul, to quote Rumi. We channel from there. And then, boy, will we have stories to tell on Monday. One, about how great we feel. Two, how it absolutely made everyone just crazed around us because, what do you mean you're taking 20 minutes out of your day for yourself? Well, you can go, well, what do you mean I'm not? Even your negative self-talk. Let's just say you're planning a nice, quiet weekend by yourself. Just take 20 minutes away from your negative self-talk. When those thoughts pop up, go, I like needle knits. If anyone could tell me where I came up with that term, I guess I could Google it, but I'm not going to do it right now. But I love the term where I just say to myself, all right, dorky, go sit in the corner. I've had enough, right? No open mic mind. My open mic night in my mind where the negative self-talk just goes, no. We're going to take a 20-minute break. We're going to take it out. So if you are, I love it. Someone's telling me they got both numbers. They can drive me bat crap crazy. Welcome to the jungle. I don't know who this was, so welcome to the jungle, brother. Welcome to the jungle, sister, whoever you are. I was told I'm not allowed to say brother anymore. So brother. Sister, whoever it is, you got both numbers. Drive me bat crap crazy on Monday. I cannot wait to hear about you channeling your all-natural being, about you remembering who you ultimately are. Now, slight little disclaimer, because I can, who doesn't want to be taken out of context, right? That's all I'm saying. When you do this, the last thing you'll end up being is selfish to the people around you. We talk about being a hedonist. We talk about being a narcissist. We talk about letting life go to your head. Ultimately, the bottom line, you know what you're doing to the people around you when you do that? You're giving them permission to do it for themselves as well. They may not like it. Trying to give a little kid medicine. They may not like it at first. But you're giving them, by tapping into that portion of you where you're special, you're giving them permission to tap into that same portion within themselves. I can't think of a better gift to give. All right, we're doing Monday Live, even though it's a holiday. I don't want to hear it. No more talk about it. We're doing it live. As long as you promise to text me and let me know how cool the weekend was. Boy, this is going to be great. And I promise I won't share any names. Unless you say, hey, this is such and such from wherever. You're welcome to share my name. Promise I won't share any names. So let's do that. All right, you guys, got to bail, got to run, got a busy Friday. Love you all. And I am fired up about hanging out on Monday. Have an absolutely fantastic weekend. I cannot wait to hear the tales.
You've been listening to All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy.
Join us live every Monday through Friday, 7 to 8 a.m. Eastern.
Also, check us out around the clock at allnaturalbeing.com.
Until then, always remember to bring your own bold.
I was drooling there. I got so excited for Monday's show. I think I started to drool. I really did. Have a fantastic weekend.
IPMNation.com.